Hello there everyone, my name's Soulkeeper, and this is a knife-only run of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Resident Evil.
It all began as an ordinary day in September. An ordinary day in Raccoon City. A city controlled by Umbrella. No one dared to oppose them, and that lack of strength would ultimately lead to their destruction. I suppose they had to suffer the consequences of their actions, but there would be no forgiveness. If only they had had the courage to fight. It's true that once the wheels of justice begin to turn, nothing can stop them. Nothing. It was Raccoon City's last chance, and my last chance. My last escape.
This is Chopper Delta, preparing to drop off at area E95070. Over.
What are they?
Waiting orders. Over. All units proceed to Richmond and Victoria. All right.
Let's do it. Let's move. Go, 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 go. Fire. Come and get son of a... Don't give up. There are too many. Don't hold back. Where are they? Where did they come from? It's pointless. Take this. Die. You want some more?
So that intro is obviously a little bombastic, but very cool to see. We finally get to play as Jill after all that, and here she is about to burst through the door. Boom! There's our heroine. So, what we do is run forward here. There's this lone zombie. What we want to do, if we don't want to take damage, is we wait for the zombie to walk forward, and then once we have the space, we just run around him. And most of the time, you should be able to get past him without too many problems. Well, obviously, we don't have a knife at this point, so we can't really do too much of anything other than evade.
September 28th, daylight. The monsters have overtaken the city. Somehow, I'm still alive.
It's very funny to me, this scene.
Okay, we've got to get out of here.
What? What do you think you're talking about? I just lost my daughter out there! How dare you tell me to go back outside?
I'm sorry about your daughter, but there isn't gonna be any rescue. We have to get out of here.
No! I'm not going anywhere! I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters! Now leave me alone!
First thing I do when I enter this section is I go and I grab the first aid spray, because knife only, it can be pretty brutal. And it's a pretty good idea to have a lot of first aid items on you, including herbs and sprays. We do have to go up here and go into this room because we can't leave the warehouse unless we go in here. And right inside the door on her right is going to be the key that we need. There's the warehouse key. She has a lot of stuff in her inventory that we also just don't really need. And we're going to drop all that stuff off in the inventory box, the magic box. And of course, we're going to take the item of discussion of this guide, the knife. That's our only weapon for the entire game, legit. So let's get out of here now. All we need is the knife, we need a spray, we need the key, we're golden. If you complete the game, you do get a boutique key and you can wear a couple of costumes and stuff. Anyway, we'll just head to the door here and leave because, yeah, now the game actually begins. This part is pretty simple to do if you know what to do. It can get a little confusing if you've never played this before. I thought I was running straight for some reason there. That was silly. We're gonna encounter like this Y shape intersection where we're gonna meet Brad. There's our boy. These zombies here are coming out of that room pretty quickly, and what I like to do is just go back through this door and reset the room. It seems to me that's the most reliable way to handle things. Then I just go right back in. Or, you know, I could just turn around twice like I did there, but, you know, once is fine. Now, when we run back this way, ideally we should be able to get behind the zombos and get inside this door. We may want to give it... Okay, I thought I had the clearance there. Sometimes you get the clearance to get in there without taking a bite. Other times it just doesn't work out that well. That one was like, okay. I was trying to do the evasive dodge there, which, yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Pick up the lighter oil. You're going to need that because it's one of the... You got to combine two items to get out of this section of the game. Ideally, if we can get past this guy on the stairs, we'll be in a better place. This just was not working out for me, unfortunately. This guy was getting a lot of bites. He's getting the vomit on me. If that happens, there's herbs over here in this alley. We want to go in this alley next. Curiously enough, we're already in caution. And that's kind of unusual because, you know, usually at this point, even with all the bites and stuff that we just took, things wouldn't be that bad, but that's why we have the herbs, that's why we have the spray. Knife only can be pretty rough. And most of the game is just going to be spent dodging, evading, and the dodges in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, they're kind of tough to pull off. This guy, it's easy to run right into his arms, but be sure you veer off to the side and you can run around it pretty easy. The boutique is right there if you have the key. We don't have the key, so we're just going to keep running. And as long as you keep going behind these zombies, generally if you go behind the zombie, you can get around them very easily. There was a little notification there from my computer. Funny how that happens. Anyway, we gotta be careful with those zombies there, because they have a tendency to go turbo. When a zombie goes turbo, that just means it's moving exceptionally fast. So, you know, that stuff's awesome. Anyway, go in the store here. Guess who? It's Brad. And we could help him, but don't. Let him deal with it. He's got this. Trust me. Run behind the zombie and go grab the lighter over here on this table. This is the other item that we need in this section.
Brad, hang in there. Why isn't someone doing something about this?
I didn't know you were still alive, Jill. The police aren't trained for this kind of situation. What could they do? Listen, he's coming for us. We're both gonna die.
What are you saying?
You'll see. He's after STARS members. There's no escape.
Well, good talk, Brad. We're going to turn around and we're going to run right back out the door that we came through. Now we have these two key items in our inventory, we can combine them. We're not going to combine them quite yet, though. We're going to go back up these stairs, and instead of going out the way we came, we're going to make a right here and go through this alley. Be careful, there is a zombie there. Watch where he is, and when you have the clearance, run around him. And like I say, as long as they're not like facing right at the wall or something, you should be able to run around them pretty easily. If they're facing forward, if their back is to you, you should be good. Combine the oil with the lighter and go over to this door with the rope on it. And use the lighter. This will burn the rope, and hopefully you'll have the clearance to get through the door. We did this time. Sometimes the door just does not want to open, and sometimes you get some bad RNG and those zombies burst through sooner than you expect, and then they just get all up in your chili. And, well, then you gotta figure out a new plan for how you're gonna get around that. Watch out for the dogs there, just run around them. Generally, you should be able to just hug the wall and get past them. Sometimes the dogs are kind of wild cards. There's a lot of RNG in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, so you gotta be prepared for that and just play the cards you're dealt.
Jill!
Brad!
We've gotta... Jill! Help!
Well, here we meet Nemesis, charmer as always. What we're going to do here is we are going to decide to fight with the monster because it's the faster way of doing things. And we're just going to run right into the police station. Do not wait, do not hesitate, just run the moment you're able to. There are herbs over to the left as you go in, if you want them. I would recommend taking them on a knife-only run, but if you're trying to be fast or something, or, I don't know, whatever the case might be, you can leave them if you need to. There's zombies in here, and be sure you watch yourself. Sometimes there can be a zombie on the floor. If there is, you might take a bite here. Unless you happen to find a little bit of clearance around that. Go over to this locker here, there is a blue gem that you want to take. Boom. We are absolutely going to need that for later. And over at this locker here, guys, there are 4 possible combinations to this lock. There's 0131, 4011, 0513, or 4312. Try all of those. It's complete RNG, whichever one it is. But generally, 0131 is what I think is the most common answer there. Watch yourself here, there's zombies. Wait for that one to walk forward, run around it, run between those. Generally, you will have the clearance. You want to kind of run at a little bit of an angle going through there, and then kind of sharply turn, and you'll be able to get around them. There are zombies up here. This is from Resident Evil 2, but there are zombies in this hall now. Wait for these guys over here. Once they hug the wall, you can get through. There's going to be a zombie, usually just around where that statue would, just around the corner there. Watch out for that, and get yourself into the STARS office now that you've gotten through all that. The only item that we need in here is the lockpick. That's all we need. This is the key item that we need in here. This is the only reason we came here was for a literal paperclip. But if we run over to the side here and go over to that med kit, we can pick up a first aid spray. And I recommend taking it because knife only run, like I say, it's tough.
No! Come anyone! Our platoon is cut off! No survivors found! This is Carlos! Send in support immediately!
Cool story, bro. Leave the office. And guess what? We're gonna go right back the way we came. As with every other Resident Evil, there's backtracking, but in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, it's actually not that bad. You don't backtrack that much. A little bit, but not that much compared to other Resident Evils. So I made a big mistake here. I decided to run forward, and then I turned around and ran right into another zombie's arms, and yeah, you should turn around generally and go in front of the statue instead of trying to run straight forward like I was. I don't know why I did that. Just don't do what I did there. That was really, really dumb. Anyway, run forward here. Nemesis will pop through the window with his grenade, or not grenade, but rocket launcher. And don't hesitate, just run right to the evidence room. Go in. If you hesitate, Nemesis will fire a rocket at you. That's... well, if you linger, you'll find out just how awesome it is. In here, run back to the door you came through. Nemesis will follow you, and he will fire rockets here if you linger too long. Like I say, don't dilly-dally, just run. As long as you don't dilly-dally, you'll be fine. Now, at this point, I decided I probably want to get some herbs. Not quite yet, though. I decided to just leave. And then I go back, because I realized, you know what? I took a lot of damage back there. I should probably go grab those herbs. This is me being a little smart here and deciding, you know what? If I don't want this run to just fall over dead, we should probably take these. So, like I say, there's 3 of them here. You can combine them into one super herb. You can keep them separate. You probably won't have enough inventory space at this point if you're picking up all the things that I did. But if you leave something behind, you know, you can do what you want here. I combined it to make super herb for the sake of convenience. Also, it's just nice to have an empty inventory slot for picking up key items. Once you have these, we can leave. And instead of going back the way we came, when we run forward here through this street, we are going to just keep running straight. We're not going to go back through the gate, we're just going to keep running straight here. Keep going, and then right down here is the first instance where we use the lockpick. Boom. We're going through here, and now, in this section, there's going to be some drain demos, guys. So, again, don't dilly-dally. See, coming out the window, these guys are pretty horrendous. So, don't wait around. Just move as fast as you can and get out of there. Yes, there's going to be a lot of that in this. There is actually a water hose over there that we're going to want to get with the wrench. But we don't have the wrench yet. So, just go through this gate. If you want blue herbs, they're right there. You don't need them that badly. Generally, you don't get poisoned that often in this, but they're there if you want them. Watch out for the dogs in here. Kind of do a little serpentine pattern in here, and when you see dogs like ready up, try to run perpendicular to where they're running, if you can. Sometimes it's hard. I recommend running around that dog, give him a good wide berth. This dog is really hard to get past because it's just such a narrow space that there's hardly no space to avoid him. There's more blue herbs over there if you want. I don't even know why they put them there. It's not like there's copious poison around here. Here we hit a save room, and if you want, you could deposit some things. I recommend putting away at least one of the healing items. You don't need all the healing items on you. It's good to have a weapon, it's good to have a heal, and all the other inventory slots are best used for your items. There's more dogs out here, so try to run around them. I kind of messed up there a little bit, but it wasn't super bad. Dogs are just the absolute worst sometimes in Resident Evil. In the old school ones, they're really hard to get around. So, right here, this is like the proper introduction to the drain demos, even though we saw one earlier. But, again, you don't want to mess with it. Just run forward, get the hell out of there. And you just run forward into this section. You can go through the alley back there. I recommend just following Carlos. Follow him into the restaurant. There's more herbs over by a little pond over there if you want to pick them up, but we'll pick them up later. In here, just run around to the kitchen this way, and if you run through the kitchen and go straight to the door, next to the door there's going to be a locker. And this locker is the manhole key. We're going to want that, obviously. Or the fire hook, whatever you want to call it. Same difference. Turn around to go back into the kitchen, and the This isn't real obvious, but this little hatch right here, this is what we use the hook with.
What's that?
Calm down, lady. I'm no zombie. My name's Carlos, Corporal of Umbrella's Biohazard Countermeasure Force. What's your name?
Jill, did you just say you belong to Umbrella's army?
Yeah, we came all the way out here to save you civilians. But the mission went bad the minute we landed.
Wait, how did he find me?
So this part can get a little hairy if you don't know what to do. Just run into the basement. It's the fastest way to get out of here. If you hide in the kitchen, you'll blow up Nemesis. You'll take him down for a bit. If you choose nothing, Carlos will just shoot him. And then Carlos will have to deal with Nemesis for a little while. Which, that's whatever. But I recommend just going into the basement. It's the fastest way. Run around here, and there's going to be a ventilation hole at the end that you can go through, and you escape through this. It's the less exciting option, but it's the safest option, I think. Because, I mean, who wants to tangle with Nemesis if you don't have to during a knife-only run?
Wait, I have to ask you something.
I know. You want to ask me out? All the foxy ladies love my accent. It drives them crazy.
What? Keep dreaming. Tell me, why did Umbrella send your team in?
We're here to rescue the civilians.
Don't lie to me. Umbrella is the reason why this whole mess began.
Look, we're just mercenaries, hired hands. Do you really think the master would tell his dogs why they have to retrieve the stick he just threw? If you want answers, you should talk to someone else. I am not with Umbrella. We'll have to finish this later. Believe it or not, we're only here to rescue the civilians. If you can trust me, then help us. Think about it.
I love how Carlos just leaves Jill here. It's awesome. Anyway, run the way he went. That zombie there, I have a lot of trouble with. I try to figure out how to get around it. And I just can't figure out how to do it yet. But I'll figure it out one of these days. Go into the save room here because it has an item we need. We need the rusted crank. It's going to be awfully hard to progress without it. And then we just leave again. And Nemesis will actually be out here this time. Keep left and go to the exposed flesh side as you run by him here. And you should be able to juke him pretty easily. If you don't do this, you'll get grabbed. Getting grabbed is no good. It does a lot of damage. Run around here, go straight to the press building. The press building is gonna have another key item that we need. Also, it has a first aid spray, which, you know, generally you also need. Push this stepladder all the way over against the wall because there's a switch right above that vending machine that we have to hit. Kind of weird that she can't just pick up the stepladder, but you know, these old school video games are kind of bonkers sometimes. Go to the switch here, hit that, the shutter will lift. I've actually kind of avoided the fire here, thinking that it would do damage, but then I ran through it a bunch of times and realized, you know what, I don't think it actually does damage to her. I don't think so. Of course, I've never lingered in it long enough to find out, but she doesn't have a hurt animation, and usually if something does hurt them, you know, it lets you know. Anyway, run in here, grab the gem on the desk there, and yeah, just leave. That's all you need here. That's the only thing you need in this building, other than the first aid spray. So, Nemesis here is actually really, really hard to get around. It's kind of bonkers. Usually you will get grabbed, but after you do get grabbed, he'll give you the clearance to run around him. If you get grabbed, don't feel bad, it just happens. But sometimes you can get around him. I've gotten around him once, and it just feels like it's luck of the draw there. go back the way you came, go through the door, and we're gonna actually go just where we came into this particular street. We are gonna go to the door opposite that. Yeah, in case you wonder why Nemesis drops in the remake, that's why. He does that in the original game. So they kind of kept that pretty faithful. Put both gems that you have into this dial here. If you remember from the remake, you pick up gems and you put them into something back at the train station, but this is what we're using the gems for here. Once we have the gate open, we're going to blow on through, because we're actually headed to the train station right now. When we hit this fork up here, make a left, because going right will take us to the gas station, but there's nothing for us there yet, because we don't have the items. And obviously, we don't want to dilly-dally, we don't want to waste time. The zombies in here are pretty easy to get around. They're going to be in idle animations. Watch out for the one on the left there. If you run too close to his head, he'll grab your ankle, and you'll take a bite. In here, this is actually where we fall down and fight Gravedigger later. There's 2 herbs right there. I recommend grabbing them at some point that you come through here, but you don't have to grab them right now. We need the space in our inventory, and in here, it's RNG which you're going to get. There might be dogs, there might be zombies. If we're lucky, we'll get dogs. Dogs are actually easier to deal with than the zombies are, because they overload you with zombies, and it's such a hassle. This area right here actually would have zombies in it too, but there's only 2 dogs, so it's a lot better.
You're one of the survivors from the rescue team, right? I just ran into your teammate, Carlos.
How did a girl like you manage to survive?
Hey, I'm no ordinary civvy. I'm a member of STARS.
Stars? You mean the RPD Special Force Team?
Hey, is someone wounded back there? Oh, this looks bad.
They're coming. Get ready. Fire. Fire! Stay together!
Calm down. You're safe now. Everything is gonna be okay.
You actually have to walk forward there to trigger the second cutscene. And then you go through the door, and then you have another cutscene. A lot of cutscenes here, guys.
So, Jill, did you decide to help us out? It looks like we're the only ones who survived. We should work together.
No, we can't trust her.
Why? But Sergeant, we need her help. Our unit's down to you, me, and Lieutenant Mikhail. That's it. And Mikhail's hurt bad. If we don't cooperate, we won't be walking away from this mission.
Fine. Then let's go over our plan. We're moving to the clock tower area, which is the designated landing zone for the extraction chopper. Once we get there and give the signal, the chopper will fly in and pull us out.
That's a lot of ground to cover. I don't think we can make it on foot.
The main problem we have is that the landing zone is cut off from here by the fire. So we have no choice but to use this cable car to navigate through it. Fortunately, we can also use it as a moving shield to get us through the worst areas.
That works for me. Good plan, sir.
Okay, people, let's get moving.
Jill, put this on.
Fortunately, you get a side pack here that gives you 2 extra inventory slots, and it's a godsend. Don't forget to grab the wrench on the seat there. You absolutely have to have that. It might not be super obvious, but it does glow, so it's, you know, not that bad. Going through here, watch out for the dogs. There's another dog that's going to come through the fire, so now there's 3 dogs you have to deal with, and that's awesome. If you take a few hits here, it's okay. It's not super bad in here, fortunately. We're going to go back the way we came, and this might be a good point to grab those herbs, because now that we have the inventory space, why not, right? Yeah, right there. And you may not want to combine these. A lot of people love combining herbs all the time, but really, it might be best to keep at least one green herb in your inventory uncombined, because you do get red herbs at various points, and it helps you out a lot to have multiple full heals instead of just one giant heal. So here, there's going to be a zombie that bursts out of the car door, run behind him, run around that guy, and then there's going to be a guy on the floor probably. You got to watch out for him. If you can dodge these guys, it's preferable. And keep to the side to get around the zombie that's kind of just shambling forward. Run around this guy. Be sure to give them as wide a berth as possible. It takes a little bit of practice and a certain feel to learn how to juke zombies. Because when you first start playing these old Resident Evils, it's hard to figure out, like, what the right way to do it is. But you'll learn how to do it by just practicing. And generally, if they're facing not forward, but off to the side, or their back is to you, it's pretty okay to run around them. Use the crank here to do this. It'll break. Don't worry about it. Just use your wrench to take care of it, and there, it's done. You can actually pick up another crank over by the... Where is it? It's like a pharmaceutical building. Yeah, that's what it is. You can pick up another crank, but there's really no need for it. It's a completely useless item.
I'll check over there.
Another first aid spray here. Again, I recommend grabbing it. There is a puzzle here that is kind of funny. I mostly just do this by hitting the same code every time. B, C, D, C, B, A, B, C, D, C, B, C, D, A, C. And that generally should get you through most of the button presses here. This one is completely RNG. So if it doesn't work, the quickest way I've noticed to do it is just to brute force it by pressing random buttons, honestly. Because usually, it'll work very, very well. I mean, that's usually what I do, and this puzzle goes by with like a breeze. This sounds more exciting than it really is. Just leave. Like I said, not as exciting as it seems. Just another cutscene. You could just run away from it, and doesn't really do her any harm. Just leave this area. We're never coming back to it. The oil puzzle, it might be unsatisfactory, but you can just brute force your way through it, and it happens really, really fast. So, you'll be okay. Watch out here for these zombies. There's going to be 5 of them. 5 of them, and it can be pretty hairy getting in to get the item that we need here. We're going to turn around, go back in, and what we're going to do is we're going to hug the wall over to Jill's right, and we're going to run around this guy. His back is to us. We can get around him. We're going to go straight here. Sometimes we can get around that guy. If you make a sharper turn, I think you can do it. I didn't turn sharp enough there. It's actually pretty tough to pull off all this. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to do like some evade maneuvers. Take the bronze book. We're going to need to take that and come back here again. I took a bite here. That happens a lot here because I have a tough time making the evades work for me. There are herbs over there against the wall. We're not going to grab them because it's a little too risky right now. We can actually grab them later once we come through and have to deal with Nemesis again. Because usually whenever there's a Nemesis section, the zombies kind of just clear out. Very rarely in this game do you encounter an alleyway or anything like that that has zombies in it when Nemesis is in the same place. Go back into this alleyway and run to the same place Carlos is. If you don't, you're going to encounter a lot of zombies, and that's just no fun at all. Go back toward the restaurant, and then go forward to this area where the pond is, because this is where we're going to drop off this bronze book. There's herbs here if you want them. I recommend taking them. Place that bronze book, get the dial, and then get the herbs on your way out. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to go right back to the statue. Like I said, not a lot of backtracking in this, but there's a little bit. There's a little bit. I use these herbs immediately here because I'm a little hurt. Well, I keep the one, but I use one right now because I got to keep Jill alive. Yeah, that happens a lot. Anyway, go back into this alleyway behind the restaurant, and then we're gonna go right back to the statue because we gotta place this compass. This guy here, he's gonna shamble forward, run behind him. This guy here, if his back is to you, you can run behind him. This guy here is a little trickier because he's walking forward, but once he gets on the stairs, he's pretty easy to get around. So I recommend just waiting for him to get to the stairs if he's not up against the wall like he usually is. There will be something that comes out of the window here. It might be crows, it might be dogs. Be aware of that. Crows are actually better. Crows are easier to deal with. Dogs, a little hairier. But if it happens, just keep running. Gonna run right back in here, same strategy as before. Hug the wall, make a sharp turn, and place that compass on the statue's arm. This is where we're going to get the battery. We need this to use an elevator back where we first have the proper meeting with the drain demos. So this is going to be rough. Again, if you can get that emergency dodge down, that is preferable. I have a tough time really figuring out how to make that work for me. Anyway, we have time to grab some herbs here. I recommend grabbing them. But you don't have to grab them right now because there's so many zombies here. I probably should have just left them here. I don't know why I bothered taking them at this point. It's so risky that it's not worth your time. You can grab them later when you come back. Once you come back here at some point, the zombies will disappear. That's how you know you're going to handle Nemesis. Because, you know, like I said, that's the only reason that zombies tend to disappear. But anyway, we're going to run right all the way back here. We can run around this guy. Since he's off to the side there, he's going to have a hard time facing us. We can reset the room by going into the save room if we want to. You don't have to, but sometimes I do that when I feel like it's more advantageous. The zombie here does give us a little bit of a hard time. If we get him to shamble forward and hug the wall, we can run around him. Boom, like that. That's actually probably the best way to handle that guy, I think. Wait for him to shamble and hug the wall a little bit. And then we go back into this alleyway, or, beside the restaurant. Then we go back through that door over there where we meet the drain demos properly. The one that had the cutscene, not the one where we actually first met them. So run forward here and don't go the way you came, but go up the stairs here. The lift is going to be right around the side here. Place the battery before you get on there. Be quick about it because they are following you. And we are going to go down. Now, how these zombies are arranged can be a little bit of a surprise. A lot of times they're going to be on sort of a different plane than you. And most of the time you can kind of just run through here and they'll be vomiting because they're on a different plane, but sometimes they can grab you. Hopefully you can get through there without taking a bite. Usually you do, but sometimes they just have other ideas. Go in the gate here. You can pick up a red herb if you want. It might be a good idea too, because you're picking up some green herbs. It might be nice to have some full heals, right? Hit this button before you operate the fuse stuff. And go over here. And the way to get to the fuse is just to hit red, blue, blue, blue. That's all you have to do. That's it. Since this is a knife-only run, there's no reason to do anything else here but that. Just go and get the fuse and get out of there. If we were doing a weapons run, it might be worth your time to go in the other door, but not now. Here we have another choice. What you want to do is use the emergency exit. Just leave. We choose this because it's the faster option. If you really want to, you can overload the fuse and electrocute them, and that'll take them out. But it's faster to just hit the emergency exit because something curious is going to happen here. Stars. Guess who? Fortunately for you, the zombies shield you. Don't run off to the right. It's a little disorienting, that angle, but what you want to do is run forward and go back to the left. And be quick about it because you know who is following you. Big Nemi is hot on your tail. And guess what? He's going to follow you in here too, so don't dilly-dally, dudes. Run forward and go around to this door here, the one that we came in originally. Because we have to use the wrench in our inventory to go get a key item. We're gathering items right now to bring back to the train to get the train running. Watch yourself in here. Nemesis will follow you again. And he does have his rocket launcher, so, you know. It's gonna hurt if he fires it, so if you're slow, don't be slow. Just don't be slow. Be quick. Back in the garage here, there's a wire here that we do need to grab that's attached to the car. So, I recommend grabbing it later. I'm not even sure you can grab it right now. I've never actually done it, honestly. But go back through here and watch the dogs again. It can be tough to keep your bearings because the dogs, while they're running at you, they come at you from different angles. I almost took a hit there because I had a hard time getting to the gate. Fortunately, though, I got through without too many problems. Up ahead, run through this gate here and go up to the hose. You kind of have to be in a very specific spot to use the wrench because it doesn't work immediately like it should. But you do that, you'll get the hose. And once you have that, discard the wrench. And again, go back the way you came. Originally. Because we gotta run through these city streets. We gotta avoid the drain demos, importantly. There will be 2 of them in here. 2 of them. And it's random where they're gonna be. But as long as you bolt through here and don't wait around too much, you should generally be okay. There's gonna be dogs in the street leading to the police station this time, but run around them and go left back through the gate that we came through. You'll be okay here. And in here, where the fire is, where there were originally dogs, there's not going to be dogs anymore because they're over in the street with the police, leading to the police station. Use the hose on the wall here and put out the fire. And look at this. The way is clear now. It's a lot of drama just to get a hose. We have to run through this street here. There's blue herbs. Probably don't need them that badly, but they're there if you want them. And there will be a crank here. Leave it. There's drain demos in here, so don't dilly-dally. Run around and then run right sharply. Go into the pharmaceutical building.
No! Don't make me do this, Murphy. I don't want to shoot you. Kill me! I finished. Not human. Wait, We don't have to do this.
Please hurry. Before I lose conscious. Before too late. Kill me! Yeah! Murphy. Why? No. No.
Carlos!
So you're probably picking up on this. Carlos is a lot sillier in the original game than he was in the remake. But yeah. It's funny. Password here is probably going to be Safsprin. There's 3 different passwords that it could be. First one is Safsprin. That's the most common one. It could also be Aquacure. Here it's Safsprin. Besides Aquacure, it could also be Adravil. So try all 3 of those. It will be one of them. But most commonly, it's Safsprin. In here, in the cabinet, there's going to be a first aid spray. You may want to take that. I recommend taking it. Because knife only run. It'll lower your rating, but it'll get you through the game if you want to run this knife only. In this room is going to be the additive that we have to put in the oil, because the oil is not good all by itself. You can combine this with the oil in your inventory to save some space if you feel like. This part's about to get a little hairy in a second. And the hit detection here can be a little spotty. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna go up to the valve and we're gonna give it the old smackaroonie with the knife. And if we're in range, it should knock that valve handle off and take out a good number of the zombies. If that doesn't work for you completely, there is a second valve handle that you can use. Now, hopefully, there'll be enough clearance for you to get through this. Obviously, I got a little unlucky here with those zombos and couldn't get those evades in. The evade seems like it's a mechanic that works when it feels like it. It works when you don't really expect it to. I've noticed that. When you're not really trying to make it work, it seems like that's when it works best. I don't know. Anyway, avoid the zombos and just go out the front door. Try your best there. Just do your best. And right when you get out here, be prepared for the drain demos, because they are going to aggro hard. Don't waste any time. Just get out of there, man. And now that we got all this stuff, we're going to run all the way back to the parking garage, because we have pretty much everything that we need at this point. The last item that we need are the wires. Once we have that, we're ready to go. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be this section of the game for the most part, although we do have one hurdle that we have to get through. There's doggos here. They're really not that big of a deal. Just go back through that door down in this street leading to the police station. Just the dogs are really not hard to avoid here. Hug the wall to get around those drain demos. Don't stay in the center of the alley, because if you do that, odds are, yeah, there's like a greater chance that you'll get grabbed, and you don't want that. Drain demos are brutal. There will be some changes in here, more than likely. There could be drain demos in this section coming up. Not here, but a little bit later. There will be crows that pop out of the bus. Don't worry about them. Just keep running and going here. This is where we're going to get the wires. This part where the dogs are showing up. There's no dogs now, curiously enough. But grab those wires, and there's going to be another choice here in a second. You want to make the choice to climb up. There's no point in dropping down. 0 point. Unless you just want to see what happens. This is kind of a silly choice. I don't even know why they did this. But yeah, climb up. No point to it. It's faster, and it's less of an inconvenience anyway. We do have a sort of boss fight coming up, and the boss fights in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis are unique because they're kind of geared toward the use of a knife. Here is what I've been talking about, where there's drain demos. And yeah, you want to be careful there. Try to like hug the walls as much as you can. Generally you'll be okay, but sometimes you get grabbed and they do quite a bit of damage if they do grab you, so you want to avoid them when you can. Here the way is going to be pretty much clear. The drain demos decided to leave this area and go out into the street, so, you know, that was awesome. Once you come here, go back into the T-shaped alley behind the restaurant and go back to the City Hall gate. We're just running all the way back to the train at this point. I kind of wonder if maybe I can get behind that Zombo by hugging the left wall. I'm not sure if that's possible. There's not really any clearance there. I feel like maybe it can be done, but I'll probably just get grabbed. I don't know. I might try that next time and see if it works reliably. I would like to find some kind of a better strat to get around that particular Zombo. Still working on a lot of my strats for this knife-only run. Up here, this is the opportunity that I was talking about to grab those herbs, because look how clear it is. It's quite suspiciously clear. Of course, now that I've taken so much damage, I kind of want to use those herbs. So, you know, use one, keep another one for later. You don't have to use them all. No, there's no reason doing that. Anyway, run up and hug the right wall. Okay, he's gonna run at you. Hug the right wall. He will completely waffle. It's counterintuitive because usually you want to stay on the fleshy side, but hug that right wall and he'll botch his punch every time. Literally every time. If you go on the fleshy side, he'll hit the punch. But this time, just do what I say here. The placement of these zombies, I think, changes a little bit. At least from my experience. I think it has. Of course, I play it so much that I don't think about it so much when I go through there, but just watch for them, run around them, find the clearance, man. Give them a wide berth, especially if they're facing toward you. But if their back is to you, remember that's your window. Here's the first boss fight of the game. Quote-unquote boss fight. I don't know, a lot of the boss fights in Nemesis, Resident Evil 3, are kind of gimmick fights. Immediately run to the right here and hit the switch. And then do a quick turn and run away. Make sure he comes through that hole there because you need him to do that. Then run back here into this space and hit that switch. You don't want the Gravedigger to come through that hole, you want him to come through any of these holes over here. And then you want to run over to where this ladder is and hit this switch as fast as you can. Once it lowers, just use the ladder and leave. Once you do this, you're done with the fight. Okay, that's Gravedigger 1. That's how you handle that. All the fights in Nemesis, Resident Evil 3, can be handled with nothing but a knife. The game is kind of nice that way, where it can be played completely with just the knife. And the game doesn't really punish you so badly for doing that. I tried to get to the train here, but the dog was just blocking my path. It would not let me go in. I think I was a little bit frustrated by that when I was playing this. Knowing me, I probably cursed a little bit when he did that. Yeah, nothing makes you salty like an enemy that blocks your path in Resident Evil. Once you get here, use the oil, fuse, and wire to get the train up and running, and then this part of the game is going to be over. We're ready to leave the Raccoon City streets.
Carlos, I'm sorry about Murphy, but there was nothing you could have done.
Yeah, you're right, Jill. I'll operate the cable car.
Nikolai won't be joining us. Come on, let's go.
It's looking good. Mikhail!
Run forward, go through this door. It's just going to be a series of cutscenes here that you can kind of interact with.
Mikhail!
Don't stay here, go through the door again.
Jill, get out of the cable car now!
Mikhail, wait, don't!
Get out of here! Hurry! Just a little closer. Yes.
Mikhail.
No, the brakes are out.
During this choice, just jump out the window. It's the fastest way to do things.
It's useless.
Congratulations, you've made it to the clock tower. I don't know what it is about the clock tower in Resident Evil 3, but people are really into it to the point where they got pretty salty about it in the remake. Go over to this picture, and there's a key here that we're going to have to grab. It's a very essential item too, and it's not super obvious, but once you have it, go through the door, you're done in there. You don't need to linger there any longer. If you go leave the door and come back and get the key, it's actually way harder to get the key, because you got zombies breathing down your neck, and who needs it, man? No, it's just not worth it. Right now, we're going to put away, like, all these items. We don't need the lighter at all right now. All we really need is the knife, the lockpick, and the key in our inventory.
Carlos!
Phew. Well, we both managed to survive. Maybe we can start helping each other again.
Yeah, it's been rough. But we can rest now.
No, we're the only ones left. There's no rest for the wicked. Here's a gift for you.
This is really funny. We're going to say no to his gift, and, like, he doesn't say anything after that, so... It kind of feels like he's a little salty when you reject his gift. But it's knife only, so we really don't need the freeze rounds. All it is another trip to the item box. Over here and around to her right, there's going to be another first aid spray on that table. So, I accidentally grabbed the map here, but if you go off to her right a little bit more, you can get that first aid spray instead of dealing with the map. You really don't need the map here. The clock tower is not that big of an area. The clock tower is really not that complicated. This is a really simple area if you know what you're doing. Be quick in here. There are drain demos, and, oh well, there might be drain demos. There might also be zombies. Like I said, a lot of RNG in this. So if there are drain demos, well, if there's anything, just well, just haul ass through that room. And try to go diagonal and then go straight to the door. Over here, next to the altar, there's a key. This is another essential item that we're going to need. Not super obvious that you need that. Not super obvious where that item is, but that's where it is. Get that and then leave. Go straight forward. This item, excuse me, this section is tricky. It's actually really tough to get her to face the proper direction here because, like, the game tries to disorient you there. And if you do a quick turn, it's just going to put you right back in the zombie's arms. I'm still trying to figure out a proper strat for that section because, like, I don't know, man. Every time they do that, they turn me all around. It gets me all flustered. It's not super bad, but I feel like I'm taking bites that I really shouldn't be taking. I'm gonna have to review the footage there and see what the best course of action is to get out of there. Probably it's a case of like holding the diagonal on the D-pad and just, you know, running. That might be it. Here, just interact with this and it'll use the key automatically. It's weird in Resident Evil. Sometimes it uses the key it uses key items automatically. Sometimes it just doesn't. You have to go in your inventory and use it. It's one of those things in these older games that I wish was more consistent. There are 2 red herbs off to the right of this ladder. At this point, I would say go ahead and grab them because you got the inventory space and you're gonna pick up some green herbs later, and I think you'll be happy that you picked up those red herbs if you are low on heals later. The music box here is really simple to work with. What you have to do is make sure that each sound is in tune. If it's flat, you have to change it. This section is complete RNG. So just make sure that everything's in tune, and then if it is, then you're fine. If it's flat, change it. That's really the most concrete answer I can give you here. Just check each one, make sure it's in tune. Since it's in tune here, it's fine now. It will depend on the version of the game that you have. In my version of the game, I have to deal with an RNG puzzle. Some of you out there might have a version of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis that doesn't have that and has a fixed solution. The cog that we need, or 1/2 of it, is on the shelf as you're running to the item box here. I'm gonna deposit my red herbs because I have nothing to use them with at the moment. Yeah. They're kinda just there. Down here, we're gonna have another encounter with Nemesis. And it's not gonna be anything too exciting, it's just gonna be a live selection. It is faster to use the light on him, so use the light. It's really funny here. Jill actually just gives him a good shove. It's nice to see her give him the business. Makes you realize maybe he's not that tough. Of course, you know, there's a whole boss fight with him later that says otherwise. These spiders here generally aren't that bad as long as you don't linger here. But remember, guys, the spiders in this, if you dilly-dally for too long, they can poison you. If they spray that well, poison at you, it'll poison you. Usually. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't, but usually it does. Also, their bites are no good. You have to combine the two pieces of key that you pick up to make a big key or a new key, and then you use that key to open that door. There's going to be probably more spiders in here. Again, it's going to be RNG in this particular hallway, but spiders are better. They're easier to get around than, say, drain demos. Drain demos are the absolute worst. Over here, these statues have several different jewels, or balls, I guess, that you can pick up. There is obsidian, amber, and... Actually, I wasn't paying attention to what that one was called. I don't remember what it is. Pay attention to what the clock says here. If it's 11 o'clock, the answer is going to be very simple. It's going to be amber, obsidian, and crystal. That's what that particular ball was. It was crystal. So amber, obsidian, and crystal. The answer actually changes depending on the time. So it can range anywhere from 11 to 5 o'clock. So it could be 11, 10, 9, 7, 6, or 5 o'clock. And the arrangement of the balls that you put in each of those slots could differ depending on the time. Pick up the gear after you get that, and combine the gears. And now you have everything you need to get out of the clock tower. All we have to do is get back up to the top here and we're good to go. For the times, if it's 10 o'clock, it's amber, crystal, obsidian. If it's 9, it's obsidian, amber, crystal. 7 is obsidian, crystal, amber. 6 is crystal, amber, obsidian. And 5 is crystal, obsidian, amber. So in case you're wondering what the answers were for all those times, that's what it is. It's a pretty obtuse puzzle there, so I understand if you want to just look it up, if you want to just cheat your way through it. Honestly, it's one of those puzzles that makes you say, what the hell is going on here? Believe me, I know how you're feeling. So don't feel bad if you just listen to me telling you things there and just use my answers. It's okay. We've all done it with that puzzle, I think. Go back up the ladder here and go over to that machine by the save box. You can save right here. There's going to be ink ribbons. We actually haven't saved up until this point because we haven't really needed to. Place the gear, the completed gear that is, after you combine the two pieces. And the clock tower is essentially finished at this point. Go and get yourself ready because there's a big fight ahead. This is going to be really, really, really hard. Again, knife only, so prepare yourself. Grab as many heals as you can. You're probably going to want them. You don't have to, but you're probably going to want them. Save your progress too, because if this is your first time doing this, it probably isn't going to go well. And you may want to make sure that you are on auto aim instead of manual. If you're on manual, this isn't going to go super well. Anyway, save the game. Believe me, if this is your first time, save your game. And once you're ready, we're about to do this. Now, this is a segmented run that I'm doing because of the RNG in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. A lot of this stuff gets so hairy that I had to do it segmented instead of in one complete run.
We're saved. Down here! It's finally over. Huh? No!
So this fight is going to be a hassle, guys. Nemesis can take you out by two different ways here. He can use his rocket launcher, or he can use his tentacle grab. If he grabs you and he uses his tentacle, it's all over. But also, it's over if he hits you with his rocket launcher too many times. You could take like one rocket here, but you don't want to take that. He does damage to you with his punches, but the punches won't, take you out. They won't kill you. Run around here and get him to waste his rockets, and then once you do, go to this third square that I'm standing on right here, because that will get him hopefully to hang up on those steps over there. Run around and give him a wide berth as you're doing it, and don't go too fast because he'll run too soon. But once you get over to where this camera changes over by that statue there, then you want to do a quick turn and then bolt around to the side that he's punching with that his punching arm is on. That will give you enough clearance to run right past him. And with the way the camera changes, it kind of creates a scenario where it's really confusing for him and his AI, I think. And then once you have the clearance, go ahead and get back over to that third square there. That third square is magical. That is where you are going to get all your hits from. It is actually faster, believe it or not. It is actually faster to just let him run around instead of trying to keep him locked with the inventory pause trick. Every so often I use the inventory pause to reorient myself and get my bearings and stuff. I took a grab there. If you get grabbed, you can generally get out of it once. If you get grabbed twice without healing, it probably will not end well. So be aware of that, guys. Now, again, give him a wide berth. Don't run too fast here. Bait him forward. And then once you get him to where the screen changes, you can run forward and you can get back to that spot. Get back to that square, aim, and downward stabs are actually a little bit faster here. You have to hit him 90 times to win. Once you hit him 50 times with the knife, that's when you know, because he'll fall down. He'll fall down, that's when you know you have 50. When he reorients himself and gets away from that locked position on that architecture, just do the trick again. Keep doing it as many times as you need to. Sometimes you might get grabbed. This is why I recommend you bring some healing items with you, because this part is really, really hard. On the American release of this is one of the hardest things you could possibly do. And he has a tendency to get himself unstuck by, running around a whole bunch, having some real crazy movement and everything. Just keep baiting him over. Try to get him locked up on that architecture. And you have to have him in a very specific place. Like, Jill's reach here is not the best. I accidentally ran around. I accidentally did a couple of quick turns there. I shouldn't have done that. I don't know why I did that, but it was silly. I healed there to give myself a little bit more, of a chance. You're probably going to wind up using all of your heals here. Which, that's okay. You'll have more later in the game, so you'll be able to get through this. This is the absolute hardest part of the game. And it's also the only part where you're going to have to beat him honestly with a knife. When you aim with a knife, what happens is that Jill does like a little bit of a sidestep there, and she moves away from the wall. Now that Nemesis fell, we know we have 50 hits. Keep hitting him, because we have to hit him 40 more times after he goes down. It takes 90 hits to beat Nemesis with a knife. 90 hits. If that sounds like a lot, it's because it is a lot. Just for food for thought, it takes about 40 hits to beat William Birkin, his final form in Resident Evil 2. And it takes about 32 hits or so to beat William Birkin's first form in Resident Evil 2. So, to say that it's excessive to beat Nemesis, yeah, you're right, it is. But that's the game. This strat that we're using is the strat that we use throughout the entire fight. The entire fight. Nemesis gets a little bit more aggroed after he falls down. So be prepared for that. Hopefully you'll be able to get through this. We're kind of burning through some sprays here. It's not the best. I accidentally hit the map button there. Sometimes that happens while you're playing this. Just keep going ahead with the strat. Keep doing it. And hopefully you'll get through this. If you're lucky, the AI will work with you a little bit and you won't take too many hits while you're doing this. But it's a combination of a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. So don't feel bad if you have to try this a couple of times. This is why we saved. Practice makes perfect, right? Okay, he ran right past again. A lot of times that'll happen even though, like, you're doing everything right. Honestly, if we didn't get him hung up on the architecture there, I don't even know how we would beat him. For some reason I ran there, right into his arms. Sometimes you get a little flustered, it just happens. But just do your best here. Do your best, and if you fail, it's okay. Try again. Because remember, this is really hard. Most people don't do this. Most people would not even attempt this. This sort of fight is kind of ridiculous. It takes a while to pull it off. It takes like 5 minutes or so to pull this fight off with a knife. But keep going back to that third square. Keep baiting him. Keep running around. And you will get this. Eventually, you will win. Eventually, you'll find that you can pull this off. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of practice, and a lot of know-how. Excuse me, a lot of know-how. But you'll get it. We're almost there on him right now. A few more stabs, and we're gonna have this, guys. We just have to not take too many hits. And there it is. Nemesis likes to run forward to try and, like, get himself free from the architecture. He'll do that a lot, actually. And then he kind of just falls down the fire, because he is overwhelmed by your skill. And Jill, that's the natural reaction to what we just had to do. Wouldn't matter if she had a virus.
Jill! Jill! Hang in there! What have I done? I'm sorry, Jill. Please, wake up! Jill! Jill!
October 1st, night. I woke up to the sound of falling rain. I can't believe I'm still alive.
It looks like our roles have been reversed from when we originally met, huh? Don't worry, Jill. This chapel is safe. Hey! Take it easy.
I'm okay. Don't feel any pain. But that's what bothers me. If I can't feel anything, then what does that mean?
Don't give up, Jill. I'll take care of you. Whatever you do, don't let that virus beat you.
Well, now that we just did the hardest part of the game, now comes the second hardest part of the game. This is another area where runs come to die. So we're going to put everything away except for the knife because, you know what, knife only run. And now that we have the knife, we're going to just leave. It's a silly experience. There's a lot of zombies here, just run... Try to run forward. Don't curve off to the right there. Generally, if you just run forward, you should run straight to the door, and you'll be okay. And then, well, if you run a diagonal, you should be able to get to that door pretty easily. I Made a lot of little mistakes here and kind of got a few too many hits on me while I was running through there. Be sure you have his knife equipped. It's easy to forget that. Unlike Jill, Carlos kind of holds the knife up instead of down. Jill loves holding the knife down. I guess she just makes her look tough. So, drain demos in here are not great. They can make this part a real hassle, especially because there's 3 of them, and the drain demos do incredible amounts of damage. It's RNG whether you get spiders or drain demos. Spiders are preferable. They're easier to get around. And also, they don't really damage you quite as much, but they can poison. Drain demos, they just wreck your run. Once you push that bell forward, there's going to be a bunch of zombies out here. Keep to the side, going past them, and you should be okay. Like, as long as you keep right and then keep left, you should be okay getting past those zombos. In the hospital, this is where things get a little more hairy, because we're about to meet a very special enemy. It's hunters! Ooh boy. And yeah, that part is actually really tough to not take a hit on. I pretty much always take a hit there. I try my best not to, but man, I just cannot not take a hit there. There's a first aid spray on the shelf here. I recommend you take it right now, and I also recommend that you probably should save here, because as tough as that might have felt getting here, it's gonna get even harder in a second. This is me trying to decide where I'm gonna save. Got a lot of Resident Evil saves in my memory card. What we want to do with Carlos here is take him over to this desk, and there will be a voice recorder here, or a tape recorder. We're going to go immediately to the elevator that's on the left side and interact with the panel. You have to press this button here first before you can use the tape recorder.
There also appears to be a slight fracture in his right arm just below the elbow. However...
That's much easier than it is in the remake, really, but we gotta go in the elevator now, and this is gonna be tricky. We gotta go to the basement first, and a lot of this is gonna be dependent on RNG. I've had an easier time managing this section if I go into it with full health. So, I would recommend going with full health. Go down to the basement first and go around this corridor to this end door here. There's really not that many places you can go, so it's pretty easy to find. Go straight forward and then go to the door on the left.
I had no idea another guinea pig was still alive.
What are you doing? Have you lost your mind?
Sometimes it's easy to forget one's loyalties. Just like that traitor.
You mean the guy who shot you?
Yeah, you know him. The one with the gray hair and the ugly mug. I can't believe he had the guts to shoot me. That traitor!
You mean Nikolai?
Well, nice knowing you, Tyrell. There are 2 herbs over against the wall that you can see in the cutscene. You may want to grab these because this section can get pretty hairy. They're not always there, though. This is very RNG dependent. Sometimes they're just not there and you have to deal with the cards you're dealt. After you get those, though, if they're there, go through this door. And this room can get a little tricky, so prepare yourself. Over here on this shelf is the medium base. Take that and go over to this panel against the wall besides these containers. You can turn this on first by going to the right power supply lever here first. You don't have to do it first. You can place the base, but really it's faster to just turn the switch on, place the base, and then start doing the puzzle here. And this puzzle's really simple. Just do 1-3-A. 1-3-A. It's going to be the same answer every single time. But after you put this answer in, get yourself prepared because you're going to have to run. We don't have to run very far in this room, fortunately, but we do have to run. Take the vaccine medium, and then nothing's going to happen yet, but when you get to this table right there, this hunter's going to burst through. There's going to be another hunter around the bend. Go immediately to the door. Run in like a diagonal and get immediately to the door. If you get there quick enough, you can get out of there without taking a hit. I accidentally ran towards Ty here. It's actually kind of hard to maneuver yourself in this space, believe it or not. Like, you really have to make a sharp turn once you leave that room. Otherwise, you get hung up on the architecture, and kind of the same thing here. A lot of sharp turns in this area, a lot of right angles. Fortunately, since we came down to the basement first, usually if everything goes smoothly, there won't be anything there. We're going to go to the first floor next. We don't want anything to be on the basement floor, and we don't want anything to be on the first floor. If there's anything on the first floor, you might want to just reset from your last save and try again. And yeah, if anything's there, it's not going to go well on the fourth floor. After the first floor, there's going to be zombies here. That's good, actually. That's really, really good. Just deal with them, try to emergency dodge them. If you can't, take the bite, push them away. Just get yourself over to the end of the hall here and go in the data room. And when you go in the data room, immediately book it to the right, and there's going to be a hunter here. Try to get around him, or, let him jump over you. Make sure you are in full health when you come in here, because, sometimes you can take a hit like that. Fortunately, we're still fine. And once you get the sick room key, get out of there. Go back the way you came. Believe it or not, this is the good setup. This is the best that it could be. These zombies here, that guy is immediately going to go turbo. You want to just run around him toward the wall and hug the wall around the other guy, and then go in behind this guy to this room here. And pay attention to where the cabinet is. Since it was on the left, we have to push the cabinet in this room to the right. And that zombie's really hard to get by because Carlos has a much larger hitbox than Jill does. And sometimes you can run behind him and get to that door, other times you just take the bite. Try to do it while his back is to you, while he's facing the wall completely, while his back is exposed to you. And then you might be able to pull it off. This is actually kind of one of the longer setups for the cabinet. The best setups are when we can get the cabinet over where it's already sitting. But we have to push the cabinet now over to the right, because it needs to be in the opposite area on the same side of where it is in the doctor room. The code here is going to be 104. Actually, no, it's I misspoke. Since the cabinet is on the right, it's going to be 325. If it's on the left, it's 104. And if it's on the right, it's 325. That is, if we have to push it to the right, it's 325. If the cabinet's on the left in the doctor's room, then it's 325. And if it's on the right in the doctor's room, then it's 104. You get a little confused sometimes talking about this stuff, but that's the code here. If it's... The other codes that you can use in the doctor, in the safe room there, are 253 and 531. This zombie here, you want to take the bite and just push him away. Otherwise, it's going to be too hard to get to the elevator. Just take the bite and push him away. It's the most reliable way to get to the elevator and get out of here. You can get around all the other zombies, but we want to take the bite there and push them over. It's much, much easier. There will be hunters in this room where you came from. Just book it to the door as fast as you can. If you're lucky, you can get there before you take a hit. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes you just take the hit. But generally, if you're at this point, you'll be mostly okay. You may want to save here because that was really, really hard. And if you play this, you know what I'm talking about. But believe me, it's not over yet. We got a few things we have to get through. Especially if there's drain demos waiting for us. That can be a real hassle. Just run for it here. And when we go out into the main lobby of the hospital, we're gonna have to run some more. So here you have 7 seconds to get out of the hospital, which is not hard. Just go right a little bit and then forward and go out the door, and then we'll see the cutscene. There's a hunter that comes after you. Be aware of that. At this point, we're on the home stretch. Go back into the chapel. Go back into the clock tower, I should say. And when we get into this room here, it's RNG what we're going to see in here. But here I got snakes. Snakes are actually pretty easy to get by. Just keep going and go to the door. It could be other monsters too. I think it could be drain demos or something. But yeah. And here we actually get the drain demos, which is really, really, really bad. Just run as fast as you can, get past them, and get to the door. If you're really lucky here, if you just happen to have a nice arrangement, you won't get hit. But it is hard to get past those drain demos when they're in that narrow corridor like that. 3 of them, that's brutal. Here the PS2 is having a little bit of trouble loading things up. That happens sometimes with these old consoles. But there it goes. Once we get in here, we're going to go up through this door. We're going to go back the way to Jill. We're going to run right across here, and our friend is going to meet up with us. Guess who? There he is. Kool-Aid Manning through the wall, yet again. And now he's got tentacles to spare. Anyway, turn around here when you get control of Carlos and go through that door. Don't dilly-dally, otherwise it's gonna hurt. Yeah, Nemesis is no good. Generally, he doesn't really grab you unless you're too slow. But go through the dining room here. It's gonna be smooth sailing because there's nothing here right now. Go through that door. Nemesis will appear again. Just keep running straight, go straight, and there he is. But you're already at the chapel door, so it's no big deal. When you go up to Jill, combine the vaccine pieces and use them on her, and she's gonna come back to us.
Hey! Are you okay?
Yes. Barely. What's going on?
No way! That monster just doesn't give up!
What? I thought we killed that thing!
No, it's been waiting for you!
He's playing with us. Carlos, do you think that it's unstoppable?
No, I don't think so.
Nikolai, are you sure?
Yes. I don't know how, but I do know that he is our enemy. Remember, don't trust him.
Unfortunately, that just seems like it skipped a line of dialogue there. It's not super bad. It didn't really glitch out the cutscene too badly or anything, but you know, sometimes that happens when you're playing these old games. That just does that sort of thing. Well, with Jill here, we're just going to run straight. Nemesis is going to burst through the door. And what we're going to do is we're going to run around. Well, I should have run to the left there. I should have run to the left. Run to the left instead of to the right because it's a more reliable dodge. If you run to the right like I did, you're going to take a hit. Fortunately, Jill just got healed, so she's not in the bad place. Run straight through here. It's kind of interesting to watch this and see like all the mistakes that you make and where you can improve as you're doing this. Well, one of these days we'll get a better a better knife-only run in. In this hallway, everything's going to be clear because Nemesis is chasing us. You'll notice that there's no enemies in any of these places. We can just run straight forward, smooth sailing the whole way. It's really, really nice. There's not even going to be any enemies in here. Although, Nemesis doesn't seem like he really appears in this room. But regardless, just go through the door at the end where Carlos went. And instead of going the way that he did to the hospital, we're going to go straight forward, book it to the right a little bit, and go in this door. We need to use the lockpick. The only thing that's going to be in here is a key that we need to get into the park. So go and grab that, turn around here and go up against this billboard with some keys on it. Take the part key, and that's really all that we need here. You can rearrange stuff in your item box if you want to, but there's not really anything that we need here other than a knife, a lockpick, and the part key. It's easy to get hung up on architecture in here, though, so, you know, be aware of that. A lot of architecture to get hung up on a lot of places in RE3. This guy here, I took the bite here. You can probably hug the car there and get past him easily, like how I did with that guy. A lot of little bites here and there that are unnecessary to take, but I wanted to take them anyway. This is the only thing that we need the part key for to open that gate with, so immediately what we want to do is we want to go over this way to the right and go down here. We absolutely want to go here first. This is the quickest way to do things. Now, in this part, we could deal with hunters, we could deal with zombies, and it looks like it's hunters. That's actually not that bad of a deal, because the hunters generally are pretty easy to get by in this area. Zombies are just as easy, though. You can dodge them really, really easily. In here, dogs are preferable to anything else that we get. If you get hunters, it can get rough fast. Grab the key on this body over here and just run back the best that you can. If you're really lucky, there won't be dogs swarming you at this point. Dogs can be a little bit all over the place, much like everything else in this game. And now that we're through here, we can get past these hunters, fortunately. We're fast enough and fine, we just book it right by them, and they really are not a problem. Not right now, at least. We'll see them in a little bit. But what we want to do right now with our newfound key is cross this bridge here over to the other side and go through this gate. Because we have some very big and important things to do. The key that we picked up is actually not going to go to this gate here, it's going to go to a door in the graveyard. See that door's having trouble loading there. Right here, there's going to be some green herbs. And at this point, you have the inventory space. You might want them because, you know, knife only run. We're probably taking a few hits here and there. If you're really lucky, if you're really good, maybe you're not taking that many, but odds are, you probably are. Go up to this thing right here, this machine. And it's really simple to do this. I kind of messed this up a little bit, obviously. But what you want to do here is you want to move the dark gears so that they're on top and the light gears so that they're on bottom. So what the thing to do here is move the top light one over left, move the light one down, and move the dark ones up, and then the other light one down again, and yeah, here we go. Just make sure that the dark ones are to the top right and the light ones are on the bottom, and the puzzle's solved. It's kind of hard to describe that puzzle, but if you see it, you can kind of figure it out pretty easily. It's really not that tough to figure out, even though I kind of butchered it that first time there. That was... that usually doesn't happen. I don't know. Maybe I was just tired when I did this run. I don't know. Making a lot of little mistakes here that I shouldn't have made, unfortunately. But I feel like this is still pretty good overall. So you want to get to this ladder, use it. For some reason she just wasn't going up the ladder even though I was mashing the X button. And those snakes are bad news, so I obviously want to get out of there. In the graveyard, book it to the left here and go to the left again, go around to the side here and turn and go to this door. We have the key that we need. We don't need it anymore. We're good to go. You might notice at this point that there's really not that much backtracking in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis now that we're out of the city and stuff. It's kind of nice. I heard someone say there's a lot of backtracking in this, and I didn't really know what they were talking about because it's actually much lighter in the backtracking than the first two. You want to get that pipe from the closet before you do anything else, and make sure you have the lighter now. You can also combine these red herbs with these green herbs. This is one of the reasons I say, hey, pick up some red herbs now and then, and also don't combine your green herbs immediately, because now you've got 3 full heals on you, and another heal if you absolutely need it. So, it pays to think ahead, and not just combine things all willy-nilly. Be smart about what you combine, and don't combine things just because. Generally, it's always better to keep green herbs uncombine if you can, if you're going to carry them. That way you have something for later if you pick up a red. And you might want to save here. This fight can be a little tricky. It's not super hard like a couple of the fights that we do in this game. Nemesis 1 and Nemesis 2 are much harder, but this fight is probably the third hardest of all the fights that we're going to have to deal with, I think I would say. Yeah, sounds about right. Use the lighter first in the fireplace. It's not immediately obvious that you have to do that. Like, if no one told you, you probably wouldn't know. But yeah, use the lighter on that. It burns away, and then you see a little hole, an aperture in the fireplace, in the brickwork in the back. Go ahead and use the pipe now. And this is the only thing that we need the pipe for. That's funny. That's all we needed it for. Just to get into the back of the fireplace here. It's so weird that the entire time you've been carrying around this lighter, and that's the only thing that you needed it for. You can throw it away now. Cool. Anyway, go in here. There's another key that we need. Yeah, that's right, another key. And after that, that's really all you need. Just leave. Yeah. Yeah, grab the key, get out of there. You're fine.
All supervisors, mission terminated. Return immediately. Repeat. All supervisors return immediately. Over.
It does sound like it's glitching out again, unfortunately.
I'm quite impressed you've managed to stay alive up until now.
And you seem to be doing a pretty good job of looking out for yourself. How about helping out?
I have no intention of helping you.
Because we're nothing but pawns in all this?
In a manner of speaking, you are. Our employers wanted a detailed analysis of the zombie beings which were created through infection by the T-virus.
You're saying that they deliberately sent in a military unit to be butchered by their creations?
Not exactly. Although the conditions encountered on this operation were extreme, it was an unexpected outcome that the team would be wiped out. We were only required to collect live data from the subjects.
Ah!
Another mutant!
So, just go out here. It's time for the Gravedigger fight.
What's going on? Whoa! Oh my. What is that?
A lot of people actually get confused how to fight this fight. You should try to run forward as fast as you can to get past this monster right where it pops out. If you don't, he's going to push you up against the wall here and get some hits in it, and that's not great, because the Gravedigger does pretty big damage. Try to get yourself up to this tombstone here, and obviously it didn't work out my way, but what you'll want to do when it pops out is run forward, and there, it didn't work for me again. It's pretty hard to get, honestly, but you want to get him to pop out while you stand next to the tombstone, and then just run forward, like that. That's what you want. I actually got lucky there and didn't get hit. I thought he was going to pop out someplace else. The name of the game here is just to avoid the monster for as long as possible until we get a little cutscene. You don't actually have to fight him. Some people think that just because we have a knife, and the challenge is knife only, that we're going to be using it to fight every single monster with the knife directly. I'm taking a lot of hits during this fight. This fight could use a lot of improvement on my end. This is probably the roughest fight that I did in the entire game, unfortunately. And I can see where I need a lot of improvement here. Well, anyway, we're just going to wait for him to keep popping up, and we're going to keep trying to avoid him. If you're having trouble with this one, just avoid him the best that you can. Do the best you can to avoid him. Because trying to fight him directly is just, it's too hard. There's a much easier way to defeat him that we're going to see soon. When he snaps forward, just kind of try to run away a little bit. Try to avoid him the best you can. And ideally, well, ideally he won't come and just spam you with a hit once he has you cornered. He kind of follows you all the way across the map. And there's the cutscene that we're talking about. Go over there, and what you want to do, aim yourself at the posts, those lamp posts, and give them the old smackaroonie. There's one. Don't run to the water. You don't want to electrocute yourself, and then hit the other one. And now just play the waiting game. That's all we have to do. We've effectively won the fight at this point. Wait for it, and boom. There it is. We win. He's cooked. Stick a fork in him, he's done, guys. Now that that's over, we can get out of here. And that is how you beat the Gravedigger, knife only. You don't actually try to fight him, just knock over the lampposts once the cutscene happens, and you are golden. It's actually... a lot of people don't know that. It's way easier than you think it would be. Once we're out of here, try to avoid the spider, or whatever monster's in here. RNG stuff. But if it's spiders, just try to avoid them. Can be more difficult. It's easier said than done sometimes. But just get over there and get to the ladder. We're about to go back out where we solved that gear puzzle. And once we're out of here, there we are, go to the stairs, and we're gonna leave the way that we came in. Wish I had a few more heals here, because I took a lot more damage during that Gravedigger fight than I really wanted to. That was unfortunate. Yeah, not in love with that. Well, anyway, there's gonna be zombies here now, and it should be pretty easy to avoid them. You can hug the left on the bridge there, and avoid that zombo. Just get over to the right side, and get out of here. And the hunters that were there originally are still there now. If we look to the right there, we can get around them. We want to probably heal here because, yep, we're taking some big damage. The hunters are kind of blocking the path here. This is actually really frustrating that they were blocking the path so much. And this is why I personally prefer to have zombies during this section instead of hunters, because hunters have a way of cornering you in a way that gets really, really frustrating. Like, if you get an unfortunate arrangement, it's really unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate arrangement. Just go up. I went into my menu here. You actually don't have to do that. Just interact with the fence. And, yeah, it'll automatically use the park key and then hit X again to go through the door. Yeah. It's really, really simple. I wish I had known that, or, well, I wish I would have remembered it, rather, when I went to that door there, but once again, I forgot that I didn't have to go into my inventory. Another one of those little mistakes, right? So it's time for another choice, guys, and we're just gonna jump. Just jump. It's faster.
Stars.
When you're doing something like this, you want to choose the quickest path and the path of least resistance, because harder choices with the knife, boy, it's really not going to work out. Just choose the easier stuff. What I like to do, some people do this differently, but what I like to do is immediately go forward.
Rescuing you is becoming a full-time job.
Thanks, Carlos. I owe you.
Listen closely, Jill. They're going to launch a missile directly into the city as soon as day breaks.
At dawn? But that's only...
I know. We don't have much time left. We have to split up and find a way out of here. And hey, watch out for that traitor Nikolai.
This is where the water sample is going to be, and we want to go pick that up. Go forward, and where that blue light is, just interact with that, and, well, we got a manual there. We don't want that. We don't do that, because reading's for nerds. Take the water sample, though. Take that, and then go through the door over to the left here. This puzzle can be a little bit tricky. This one trips people up a lot. There's actually 4 different solutions to it. And I kind of wish that more guides would explain this better. But a lot of guides just are not aware. Place the water sample, and the answer is either going to be right 1, left 2. That's the number 1 most common answer. That's the A, B, and C, one after another there that I just listed for you. That's the first one. The second most common is left 1, left 2, right 2. Third most common is right 1, right 3, left 4. And fourth most common is left 4, right 2, left 2. Here it's looking like I believe I got the first most common answer. Yeah, it's looking like I got the first most common answer here. That's actually pretty nice. So, if that happens, you know, smooth sailing, baby. You gotta love it. So all we gotta do is move this left 2. I was actually pretty slow doing this because I was like checking my answers to make sure I had it right. But yeah, first most common answer, right there. Gotta love it when that happens, guys. Alright. So now we have that taken care of, we can pick up the first aid spray that's over to the side on that shelf there, take that. And we probably won at this point because we don't have too many heals. Just make sure you got something. Every so often I like to just look around in cupboards and stuff to see if maybe there's something I haven't discovered before that I'm not aware of, because you know, you're always learning things when you play these games, right? So every so often I'll do a little search here and there. I don't really need to go in here, so I don't know why I did other than just have a look and see if I had any heals. And of course, no, I don't have any heals. So I'm just wasting time here, and if I did it again, I would just leave this alone. It was silly to come back and start fiddling around with the item box. This next part, when we go into this next room, it can be difficult, because there might be some drain demos in here. Yeah, there's probably going to be drain demos, and drain demos, obviously, they're pretty painful. I'm not sure. Drain demos might be worse than hunters. It's hard to say which one is worse, but just get around them best you can. Ideally, you'll be able to just book it around them. Sometimes they have other ideas, and they grab you like this. This is where they're especially fun, and I wound up using my first aid spray that I just picked up right there. I'm having a really hard time getting around these guys. Like, they're just unhinged here right now. Usually you can get through there without too many problems, but that time they were not having any of it. Go into the elevator and push the button. Once we're out of the elevator, just go up, and we're going to go through the door over this way. You can grab a disc over to the left there. You will need that later.
Nikolai?
Inside this door, there's going to be probably the last save of the entire run. We're most of the way through the game at this point. There's another first aid spray over here. I recommend grabbing it. It's just something that's nice to have, especially since, like, the next fight that we're going to have to deal with is going to get so hairy. You might even want to risk it for the biscuit and go for those green herbs. So, this is a puzzle that we don't really have to work that hard at. It's kind of a convoluted puzzle, but what you can do is just turn that switch, hit this switch over here, and then just glitch through and hit the console button. Don't actually do the puzzle. It's stupid. If you're having a hard time doing it, just keep forcing Jill through there after you hit the button, and keep mashing X, and eventually she'll hit the console, and you can glitch through it. You don't have to actually do this puzzle. If you try to do the puzzle, it's going to take forever, and who needs it, man? Hit the switch on the left as you're coming back, and the switch there to turn off the gas, and we're going to go back through this door. Congratulations, puzzle solved. You may want to save here, or if you're feeling lucky, you may want to go out and get the disc, and then maybe get some herbs, and then you can come back and save if you really feel like it, and then we're going to go fight Nemesis. At this point, we're ready for the next big fight with Nemesis. The boss fights in this kind of come at you pretty fast, surprisingly. They don't waste any time once the boss fights get rolling. Seems like it takes forever to get the first boss fight, but once they start coming, they just roll one after another at you. The pacing is a little bit quirky like that. Watch out for this zombie over here. Bait him over this way and try to run around him if you can. That actually worked. I didn't think that was going to work, but it worked. And if we look over here, there's the disc right there. It does shine a little bit, so you know it's there. We need that to get into the room so we can fight Nemesis, and we can run around this zombie here, and if we're lucky, won't be too many zombies off to the side here. Unfortunately, Jill does not get really iframes. But grab these herbs here if you can. You probably want them, because we're taking a lot of damage here. This entire run is just damage control at this point. Kind of surprised just how many bites I've taken throughout this. Boy, took 3 bites just getting those herbs. Was it worth it? I don't know, but we're still in fine, so I guess it all worked out. Sometimes you can run past that zombie. You can run right in front of him and you have the clearance. Other times he doesn't let you get past him, and you have to run behind him. It's really weird. It's a total crapshoot. But if he's not reacting when you come near him, generally I think you're supposed to run in front of him. And if he does react, then, well, you're supposed to run behind him.
Warning. Proceeding with operation in treatment room. Please evacuate immediately.
After you use the disc with the console, when you come into that hallway, you have to... Jill enters this room automatically, and you have to fight Nemesis. This is the waste disposal fight. And what you have to do is you have to smack some valves and turn on the acid to hit Nemesis. This is a really hard fight to pull off because hitting these valves is touch and go. You want to try to bait him into swinging his tentacles at you while you're in front of the valve. And sometimes you can pull this off. Other times, it's hard to do. What Nemesis does a lot of the time is he backs up when you're hitting the valve. And it's kind of frustrating because, like, you think that you have the best laid plans and then it just doesn't feel like working. But what I do is try to bait him into swinging, and then while he's trying to attack me, boom, the acid hits. It is really hard to avoid Nemesis hits during this fight. You have to hit him 3 times with the acid. And that almost definitely is not going to hit him, but I kind of just try to buy myself some time with it. What you can do here is try to... That actually surprised me that it hit him. 2 hits and his head goes off, which, you know, big surprise there. Not that he had much of a head on his shoulders to begin with. If we're lucky, he's going to walk into the acid there. No, he doesn't walk into the acid. Sometimes you think you're going to get him, and it just doesn't work. There's a degree of skill to this fight, but also a high degree of luck. So don't feel bad if you have to try this one multiple times, because it's not an easy fight. And well, ideally, that should hit him. Okay, looks like that hit him. That was actually not the worst fight I've ever had with him. That was fairly quick for a waste disposal fight, I thought.
Missile attack confirmed. All personnel evacuate immediately.
Once you're out here, go through this door, and the zombies out here will be replaced by, you know, the unhinged zombies from Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2. They're pretty much in all the Resident Evil games at this point. And they love going turbo. They love ganging up on you, so, you know, be careful there. If you have any healing items left, you're probably going to have to use them once you get past that. Now, here, you want to go to this door, go around the corner, use the card. These zombies are effectively going to be on a staircase. Hug the wall, run past them. They'll be vomiting. You can very easily get past them just by hugging the wall and going. I'm not even sure they grab you. I'm not sure they have the ability to grab you there as you're going through, since they're vomiting on you. It doesn't really look like a staircase, but I guess it is kind of a staircase, sort of. It's weird. It might not even be a staircase. It might just be that they're on a diagonal plane, and it's treated like a staircase. Grab this radar. We need that to progress here, and then turn around and run forward to trigger the next cutscene.
You're still alive. Such persistence.
Nikolai?
Sorry, but there is no escape from here.
Another choice coming up. Quickest way to do things here is just to negotiate with Nikolai.
So, you want to get out of here alone? Is that your plan?
I made certain none of the other supervisors survive. Since I'll be the only one who knows what really happened, I'll have more bargaining power when it comes to discussing my bonus.
Then why kill me? I'm not on their payroll.
They want you eliminated for reasons of their own. The amount is modest, but there is a reward to be claimed upon the confirmation of your death. Although I'm sure I'll miss you, it's time to say goodbye. You can either accept death with dignity or die with regret. It's entirely up to you.
Jill, what happened?
Carlos, Nikolai beat us to the chopper.
I guess this is it then. But I don't want to die in a place like this. This isn't over yet. I'm not giving up, Jill. We still have a chance.
I was actually pretty nervous about this fight, so what I did was I went over and looked around to see if maybe I could pick up something, and all there is are magnum rounds, which, you know, those seem like they'd be pretty useful if you actually had weapons, but it's knife only, so...
Jill! That's it. We've got to find a way out of here, now!
Warning.
All we're gonna have for this last fight are two lonely herbs.
Warning. Missile attack confirmed. Emergency level D. All personnel evacuate immediately.
Well, we're gonna have to make it work. Go down the ladder and saddle up because it's time for the final fight. This fight isn't that bad. I don't know why I'm going into my inventory here. I know I don't have anything. I guess I just want to put the magnum bullets in there out of spite. And also I wanted to make sure absolutely that I didn't have anything. Again, don't know why I looked, because you can already see on the bar to the right that there's no stuff to be seen. Be careful here. Walk across the feet of the zombies if you can. There will be this zombie over here who'll shamble toward you. Bait him forward and then run around him so that you don't take a bite. And don't go near the heads of these zombies lying on the floor there. Going through here, there is a little ammo for the shotgun over the side there, but obviously knife only, so we don't need any of that. And more importantly, there's not really any need for ammo during this fight anyway. Go to this machine and activate it.
Checking system. Checking battery. Warning, there is not enough power to activate the system.
This is what the rail cannon looked like in the original game. The first battery we have to activate is going to be over here to the side. And check it out, there's a tyrant over there just hanging out against the wall.
Battery connected.
The battery is actually kind of hard to push in. Jill has a little bit of trouble pushing it. But center yourself on it and try to push it in the best you can, and she'll eventually do it. It's a little stressful to do because she doesn't do it perfectly every time. Nemesis over here eats the tyrant, and, you know, he gains his strength back. Or at least enough to become a nuisance once again. Nemesis just doesn't quit. Run around and go all the way to the end there, because that's where the second battery is. Push that one in. And again, she's having a little bit of trouble, but she'll get it. Now turn around and go to the third battery and just push it in. Ignore Nemesis, push it in. He's going to be spraying a lot of acid here. He's going to jump down eventually.
Battery connected. Rail cannon has been activated. Executing quick charge program. Preparing to fire.
I decided to try something of a risky strat here, because I was hoping that I would have some space, because I was worried about taking damage. I went down over this way, but yeah, can't really get past Nemesis because he drops down there. But what I did instead was I went up against this wall, and I decided to start quick turning and running back and forth rapidly. Nemesis will shoot acid a lot at you during this, so you want to keep moving here. Don't stop moving. That way he'll have less of a chance of hitting you. And believe you me, he really wants to hit you with that acid. I don't think that first cannon blast hit. Luckily, I was able to get through there without taking a hit. I don't know how I didn't get hit by one of his tentacles. I just got lucky there. Now, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to run back and forth. And we're going to bait him in here. And he should take the blast there, and yes, he did. Now we're going to go over the other side. I went over the other side here, and then I just ran back and forth. This is what we're going to do the entire time. Just run back and forth a whole lot. A lot of people don't realize that this is the fight. This is what you're supposed to do. Boom, another hit. They don't realize that you're supposed to bait him in front of the cannon for some reason. A lot of casuals don't realize that you're supposed to... You're not supposed to fight directly every time. This is a gimmick fight, like most of the fights in the game. Alright, there it is. That's Nemesis. That was actually pretty good there. We didn't take any damage. We took him down in probably the fewest hits you could probably manage. At least as far as I've seen.
Warning. System overheating. Enter cooldown mode.
Really, really clean fight. I was very happy with this one and pleasantly surprised not to take any damage during it. Now that he's down, we can get out of here. We're not going to hear the famous line, so don't get excited. We have one last choice here. The fast choice is to just leave. I was actually streaming this the other day, and a number of people got really mad that I didn't do the famous line, but it's faster to ignore it and evacuate. It's all about speed when you're playing these things, in my mind. Once you're out of there, just run forward, use the elevator, and then once we get out of the elevator, run forward, and congratulations, that is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, knife only. It's over.
Jill!
It's over, Carlos.
What are you talking about? Don't you hear that? There's a second chopper, and it's here to rescue you.
But who is it? Who could possibly be looking for me?
It doesn't matter. We just have to be there when it lands.
Thanks, you saved us.
I couldn't let you die.
Is it you?
Are you ready to finish this?
It's coming!
Yeah. It's the end.
That's it. Umbrella's going down.
And that's the end of the game, guys. Good run.
And now we have a rather unfortunate turn of events. It seems that the President and the Federal Council have passed judgment over the civilians of Raccoon City. The President and Federal Council have ruled that the Bacillus Terminate operation is the best course of action for this extreme situation, and have since executed. Based on that fact, Raccoon City has been literally wiped off the map. Current reports have the death toll surpassing the 100,000 mark. Our hearts go out to those poor civilians of Raccoon City.
I would like to thank everyone for watching. Hope that you found this very helpful, guys, and please check out my other videos. Appreciate you being here with me, guys, and I'll see you again next time for another fun run.